Good morning and welcome to the show with me, Jillian Godsil. And today my very special guest is Jarrett Preston, the CEO of Idoneus. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Jillian. Thank you for having me.
Well, thanks for taking the time. So we've been chatting. You have a very interesting career and it kind of lends itself very nicely to the CEO position that you have at the moment. But first of all, if I may just go back a bit, you were in the military, you were in the Marine.
The Marine Corps, the United States Marine Corps, yes. I went to the Marine Military Academy and then the Marine Corps and Virginia Military Institute.
Wow. And how many years did you stay in the military?
Just 4.
4. Wow. And did you enjoy it?
Very much.
What were your takeouts? You're obviously a very successful entrepreneur now. What did the military give you that allowed you to be such a successful entrepreneur?
Well, many things. I think probably the major mentality you take away from the Marine Corps is that failure is not an option. You know, in the Marine Corps, as a combat engineer, underwater demolition specialist, that was my MOS, 1371 combat engineer. Failing would not be very good for your future. It ends very quickly. So you learn to find ways to succeed, I guess, in difficult situations, and you find ways through, right? So I think that's probably the greatest lesson I took through to my entrepreneurial endeavors.
I suppose it's a bit like Churchill, who said, when you're going through hell, keep on going. You don't stop.
Keep going.
Yeah, very, very strong advice.
Right.
So, and then you also, you had your first business. You sold your first business, a publishing business, age 21.
Very, very fortunate. I had an opportunity to start a business with a senior business partner who had an opportunity in Atlanta. She was kind enough to bring me in as a partner. And in 11 months, we built a publication from concept 0 to 120-page, full-size, glossy, high-quality magazine with 1,000 points of distribution. And we were running very hard and had started a company with almost zero capital. And we're looking to raise some capital and went to, at that time, the largest RE/MAX franchise in the world, RE/MAX Real Estate. And we're interested in their investment and participation in what we were doing. And they decided they wanted to buy us instead of simply invest in us. So 11 months after we started the company. And that's probably really what gave me the time and capital to really think about what I was going to do next, you know, which was 23 years ago. So,
yeah. Well, I mean, it's interesting because people say, you know, the lucky people work very hard, though it sounds as though you were in the right place at the right time. I'm not doubting your hard work, but the two of them seem to come together in that particular project.
Timing is everything. No different than today, right?
Yeah, true. So then you were also, I mean, the CV goes on, you are 10 years, you are a keynote speaker, coach, trainer. You've done over 600 keynotes.
Done a lot of events. So after the sale of Homes in the South magazine, had a lot of opportunities inside the real estate marketing space, business coaching space, and people just began to pull me in to speak. You know, how did we start a company with basically $100 and a small credit card and an idea and a vision and exit for 7 figures 11 months later. And there certainly was timing and luck involved, but there was a lot of work, a lot of focus, a lot of you know, very intentional efforts that we learned were effective. And so at a young age, I was able to speak to many people about, you know, what were those things that maybe I did differently than some others are not doing at 22 and 25 and 35 and 45. So, you know, really throughout the next decade, as I was building out the asset trading model, I had many opportunities to speak and took those and really enjoyed it.
Cool. And then in 1999, you set up your own business, the asset trader C360 Global Venture Partners, and you're now moving into high-end asset trading. Could you explain to me what that is?
Sure. Well, we simply have discovered that at that time, as I said, I had some time to figure out what I wanted to do, and I was actually ended up trading an asset for myself that I owned. After I sold the first company, I traded it for a boat instead of paying cash for it. And when I looked at my basis in the asset that I traded for the boat, I thought, that's very interesting. I wonder how many other folks, right, have high value assets or interesting assets around the world that they might no longer wish to own, that they may have inherited it. They may have expanded the value through development. It just may have simply increased in value, and now they're looking to monetize it. So I began to inquire, have small public advertisements at that time. And all of a sudden, within 30 days, we had, you know, 45 or 50 people that own different types of assets around the world. So, at that time, it was ranches and cabins and condos on the beach and, you know, high performance boats and sailing yachts, things like that. Mostly in the beginning were assets from 500,000 to 2-3 million. Since that time, we have dramatically elevated our playing field and our network and have facilitated asset trades as high as $200 million for example, an underground coal reserve in Tennessee, to large villas, private islands, aircraft, yachts, art, significant couture diamond pieces. So, you know, the world is full of high value assets owned by individuals who've decided they'd like to move on from them. But, you know, those unique assets are not always the easiest to monetize at full value. And, you know, the groups that we serve, high net worth individuals, family offices, small companies, et cetera, you know, they're looking to achieve their full value. They don't necessarily always need liquidity, but they want to receive value in return for what they have. So we began to specialize in finding the matches for them and looking at their criteria, what they would consider, and built a network.
Wow, actually, that's a very good point, isn't it? It's not necessarily that they want liquidity. They don't need the cash in their bank account to pay for groceries, but they don't want to lose money because their unique asset is difficult to price or sell, or finding the right match is difficult. It's very clever. So you build the company. Obsidian is the new company that you built for them, and that's a huge company that deals with a very high value asset trading.
Right.
So,
360 Global Ventures became Obsidian International in 2011. Merged into the new brand and elevated the playing field.
Okay, it is. I mean, I was reading your website. Now, I actually sadly have no high value assets that I could ask you to trade for me, but it
still
actually,
time.
It is still time, yeah. But it makes a lot of sense that what you're saying, because people have nice things, whatever they are, they're finished with them, they don't use them anymore, but it's hard to find a buyer. And I presume it's also, what are the tax implications if you actually do a trade? Is it a different tax scenario then?
There are unique tax benefits in many markets, and obviously it's based on the individual's personal situation and circumstances. But we have seen that the clients are quite interested in the trade aspect of it. Obviously, if they're not receiving cash, there's still taxable events. But there are ways that they can oftentimes mitigate or move the tax obligation down the line in many cases. And that has been a high interest. But, yeah.
Are you unique? I mean, because what you're doing is global, so you're matching assets on a global basis that people would not. I mean, I'm based here in Ireland, and if I had a wonderful asset, I might not know there's somebody out in California who might want it. So are you a unique company in this regard? Are you the only person doing this?
We probably in the modern day, and we like to say Marco Polo probably started it. We intend to finish it. But in modern day, we are the only organized, you know, fully organized asset trading company that we know of in the world over the last, you know, decade plus. There are individual brokers, of course, that will trade an asset, a yacht or an aircraft here and there. And we work with many, many of those. But yes, I think we're very unique in that world where our total focus has been physical asset exchange globally.
And I think from your website, it says too, you have no full, no fee. So you don't charge until you've actually completed the trade.
That's correct. That's been the Obsidian International model. And that's probably built a lot of confidence, you know, with our high net worth clients. As you know, many of people are seeking to do business with those folks and looking to extract value instead of add it. And we come with an approach that, you know, we cover all marketing costs. We've covered all expenses, travel. We cover every introduction, and we meet them all over the world to facilitate the trade. And if we succeed, we do very, very well. And if we don't succeed, that's with us. You know, we have clients that I still have clients with Obsidian today that I have 6 figures invested into, and I have never traded the asset for them yet, for example. Then you have clients and you meet them, and 18 days later, the trade is done. So that's been the nature of the business of Obsidian and what's built our credibility with the network that we're now moving toward Idoneus. Okay,
so which actually brings very nicely to Idoneus. So the added element here is that there's tokenization. Can you talk me through? It's not just barter of assets. Idoneus actually takes up ownership of assets and returns tokens. But can you explain how it works, please?
Sure. You know, we hear a lot about tokenization of real estate assets, tokenization of all kinds of assets today, and that's going to continue as we know to become a much bigger discussion. Idoneus is a bit different. You know, we built a barter trade token, a digital currency that allows owners to move in and out of assets and move into other currencies, right, as we go to exchange, and which creates a path to liquidity. You know, in the history of asset trading, there's been many barter networks and even barter dollars that are implemented in trade organizations. The one challenge has been that there is no pathway to cash. There's no pathway to liquidity with barter dollars. And with the creation of the blockchain and cryptocurrency, it allows us to add a token to the end of a barter transaction, which, as you know, then gives you many avenues. If you take an island that you're trading for a yacht, your asset for asset. If you take an island that you're trading for a token, it gives you the ability to acquire diamonds or gold or real estate, or diversify into 10 different holdings, or move into other cryptocurrencies, or whether it's moving into Bitcoin or Ether, or eventually fiat, whatever their pathway of desire is. It's much more flexibility. And with the blockchain side of the technology, it's much more efficient, secure, and transparent. And it just simply adds nitrous to the asset trading model, which is historically been a bit of a slow moving process.
Yeah, I think it's nice what you say, that I think what you bring to the company as well is your network of assets. And you're right, you mentioned one of your clients that you spent a fortune on him, and you haven't been able to find the trade because there's not a trade that actually fits exactly. But this way, you might have a client that say, you know what, I put my yacht in here, I get my tokens, and I will redeem some of them, or I might hang on to some of them. So that, but they have the value there still, they're not worried about it. Can people buy the tokens separately who don't have big assets?
Absolutely, absolutely. So we're beginning to complete the steps for the public sale that we'll move forward with in Switzerland. It's a Swiss token, ERC 777. And as with any other token, people will be able to purchase the token directly and then take the token and utilize it within our ecosystem. So as we're acquiring assets, we're building utility for every token holder. We're acquiring boutique hotels, luxury condominiums, yachts, ranches, aircraft, jewelry. I have a meeting later this week with a wholesale diamond jewelry producer that is creating a collection for Idoneus that we'll have on the platform and available to token holders. So absolutely, people can buy tokens and then utilize them within our ecosystem.
Okay, so that's quite nice. And again, this is not financial advice, of course, but people who buy into the sale, who buy into the tokens, there is a possibility that the token might increase in value, it might go down, but they can actually use it as a utility token on the platform to rent, buy, to do any number of things.
To fractionalize, whatever we might decide to do with that individual asset. We have a boutique hotel we're closing on here right now. That boutique hotel will be available for every token holder to go and take their family and go and travel and enjoy it. So that's the idea. We're creating real tangible value, right, with a digital token. My viewing is on the back. My background obviously is asset trading, physical assets, and real value is everything we focus on. When I look at the cryptocurrency and many of the blockchain projects, there's a lot of virtual value, right? Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of future potential value and future potential utility. And my thought is a token that you can do nothing with is no wonder they have challenges, right? So that's the whole key with Idoneus. We're bringing the real world assets to the digital marketplaces in blockchain.
And it's quite nice too, so I'm just thinking about it. People who are not familiar with cryptocurrency and blockchain and all that, they might not want to invest in a project because it can go up or go down. But if you're investing in the Idoneus project, you can then use the coins that you buy, the tokens that you buy, to go on a holiday, to maybe stay in that hotel. And am I right in saying that there are benefits to being token holders? There's like discounts in the very other
correct early stage discounts and discounts on renting properties.
Yeah.
We intend to have additional value if you're purchasing the property with tokens, or if you're renting a property with tokens, it will be at a discounted price point in every case possible. The more creating as much value as we can for Idoneus. Absolutely.
Yeah, perfect. So when does the sale kick off?
We are awaiting a couple of opinions out of Switzerland. There's some interesting regulation happening right now. Some updates to KYC and AML regulations. So I'm at the edge of my seat awaiting those approvals to go forward, but we expect very quickly here after the new year.
Yeah, I really enjoy this product because, as I say, it's asset backed properly in the real sense of the word. And I think you as CEO, Jarrett, bring a huge credibility to the project, because this is what you've been doing for the last, 20 years and the last 12 years with Obsidian. So it's not 12, 10 years. Yeah. It's a long time. It's a long time. But you actually know what you're doing. This is where real world comes in and says, how can we use blockchain and the tokens, cryptocurrency, to add liquidity to this market?
It's a real world application for the technology. You know, we have $33 billion in asset owners that we work with directly from decades of experience that we know are waiting for pathways out, right?
Yeah.
And we've created that pathway. I mean, I have clients of mine that own $40 million assets that called me last year as we really began to dive deep on this and said, Jarrett, what you are doing is going to change the entire industry. You know, if you own a $40 million asset in the Caribbean, you can wait a decade to exit from it.
Yeah.
With Idoneus, you could exit in moments.
Wow.
And we're creating that pathway right now. And then diversify, as you said earlier.
Yeah.
You know, that specific client is someone that lives not too far from you, actually. And they own assets on a very different part of the world. And they'd like to bring them back, and they'd like to diversify. They'd like to have new pathways and options and not continue to pay, you know, almost $1 million a year for an asset they don't utilize anymore, right? Yeah. So that's what Idoneus is doing. We're really creating pathways to value with a digital currency instead of just a virtual idea, right?
Yeah, I love that. Pathways to value with a digital currency. Brilliant. Well, thank you so much indeed. We should be following this story with keen interest, because it's quite glamorous too as well. I've seen some of the acquisitions that are coming into Idoneus, and there's beautiful villas and luxury yachts, and there's all fantastic stuff and diamonds, and so it'll be quite a well, you already are in a glamorous business, but it'll be the Idoneus will be increasingly glamorous too as well.
The glamour's there, you know, but we intend to bring the opportunity to participate in that world, which many don't have, to all people. You know, because with Idoneus, whether you're a $5,000 token holder in the future or a $50 million value token holder, you'll have opportunities to participate. You know, whether it's diamond jewelry that's created, you can purchase with tokens, or a week of travel with your family, or a fractional ownership perhaps of a potential asset. We're gonna have all different levels of price points available, so we can have everyone participating in an asset class that many times they would never have a chance to participate in. And obviously the other potential opportunities as the company grows. But I think it's important that, and you noted earlier, we've created a whole nother exit for token holders. You know, every token I see, there's one way out, right? If they want to sell their token, they go to the exchange, they sell it. And when everyone decides to do that, the token value often gets impacted. We've created a completely different exit where people don't need to sell their token on the exchange to exit. If they want to trade for one diamond or 1 week on a yacht or a lifetime in a villa in Indonesia, those are options available to everyone. And as we increase the ecosystem, increase the portfolio, we expect the market to respond very, very well.
It's very exciting. Thank you very much indeed for your time. I love the story. Thank you. We'll be coming back to do more stories and more updates from Idoneus.
I look forward to it, Jillian. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Have a great day. Cheers.